My name is Morgan Davis, and I am 37 years old. After 14 years of pouring my heart into Horizon Solutions as their senior tech developer, I never imagined being escorted out by security during our annual company summit. The worst part: watching from the back as our CEO Catherine took the stage proudly announcing my automation platform as her brilliant new initiative. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Got a minute? It was their top investor. If you are enjoying this story so far, I would love to know where you are watching from. Please hit like and subscribe to hear how I turned this betrayal into the best career move of my life. The first day I walked into Horizon Solutions, I was 23 years old, with a computer science degree and big dreams. The company was a small tech startup with just 15 employees, working out of a converted warehouse space. Catherine Bennett, the founder and CEO, interviewed me personally. I remember how she leaned forward with genuine interest as I nervously explained my senior project and vision for automation solutions. "I like how you think, Morgan," she had said, smiling warmly. "We need people who can see beyond current limitations." I was hired on the spot as a junior developer. Those early years were magical. We worked ridiculous hours, ordered in pizza most nights, and celebrated every small victory like we had conquered the world. Catherine was not just my boss, but became something of a mentor. She would sit with the development team, rolling up her sleeves to understand our challenges and help brainstorm solutions. "We are building something special here," she would say during our Friday afternoon beer sessions, all of us together. By year 5, Horizon had grown to over 100 employees. We moved into real offices downtown, and my career grew alongside the company. I was promoted to lead developer, then development manager, and finally senior technical director by year 10. Catherine and I still had lunch together monthly, though her time became increasingly scarce as the company expanded. The idea for the automation platform came to me during year 11. I had noticed how many of our clients struggled with the same system integration issues, repeatedly paying us for custom solutions to essentially identical problems. What if we created a unified platform? I proposed during an executive meeting. Something that could automate integration across different systems, adaptable to various industries, scalable for businesses of any size. Catherine loved it. "This could revolutionize our entire business model," she said, green eyes bright with excitement. "Make it happen, Morgan." I assembled a small, trusted team: Samantha Willis, my most loyal programmer friend, who had been with me since year 3. Daniel Martinez, a technical genius who could solve problems no one else could crack. And Jessica Taylor, our UX specialist, who made complex systems feel intuitive. For 3 years, we worked tirelessly on the platform. I often slept on the office couch, waking up to continue coding where I had left off. The platform became my baby. Every line of code, every workflow, every interface element had my fingerprints on it. I documented everything meticulously, though, in my enthusiasm and trust, I never thought to formalize ownership or intellectual property rights beyond the standard company policies. After all, Catherine had personally entrusted me with this project. Looking back, I should have noticed the change sooner. As Horizon grew past 500 employees and opened offices in 3 cities, the culture shifted. The companionship of the early days faded as new executives were brought in from larger corporations, bringing with them a cold, profit-focused mindset that felt alien to those of us who had been there from the beginning. Catherine changed too. Our lunches became quarterly, then stopped altogether. When we spoke, it was formal and focused solely on deliverables and timelines. The warm mentor had transformed into a polished corporate executive with designer suits and a practiced smile that never quite reached her eyes. Then came Ryan Thompson. Hired as chief operating officer from our biggest competitor, he arrived with slicked-back hair, custom suits, and a reputation for ruthless efficiency. In our first meeting, he barely looked at my presentation before questioning every aspect of my team structure and development approach. "This all seems rather inefficient," he said, checking his watch. "We need to streamline operations." I defended my team and methods, earning a cold stare that should have warned me of trouble ahead. Samantha noticed it before I did. "Ryan was asking strange questions about our documentation today," she told me over coffee one morning. "Wanted to know where we store all the source code, who has access, that sort of thing." "Probably just getting up to speed," I said, though something in my stomach tightened. There were other signs I missed: being excluded from strategic planning meetings I had always attended before, Conversations between Catherine and Ryan that abruptly stopped when I approached. The way certain board members no longer made eye contact during my updates. Still, I trusted Catherine. 14 years of history counted for something, I thought. We had built this company together in many ways. The platform was nearly complete, and preliminary tests showed it performing beyond our wildest expectations. Initial client feedback was ecstatic. We were on the verge of something revolutionary, and I was proud to have created it under the Horizon banner. The annual company summit was approaching, where we would officially unveil the platform to our entire staff and key industry partners. I was scheduled to lead the presentation with Catherine introducing me in the project. I spent weeks perfecting the demonstration, ensuring every feature shone. The platform was finally ready, and it was better than anyone could have imagined. I had no idea I was about to lose everything. The week before the summit was chaotic. Our entire company was buzzing with preparation as employees from all 3 offices converged on headquarters. The event planning team transformed our main conference center into a sleek showcase space, complete with dramatic lighting and a massive center stage. I barely slept, spending most nights fine-tuning the platform demonstration. We had created something truly special, a system that could reduce integration time by 87% across disparate technologies, adapt to virtually any business process, and scale infinitely with negligible performance impact. The potential was limitless, and industry analysts who had seen previews were already calling it revolutionary. "You need to sleep sometime," Samantha said, placing a fresh coffee on my desk at 11:30 at night. She had stayed late to help prepare, though I had not asked her to. After the summit, I promised, gratefully accepting the caffeine. "Once this launches, maybe I will take a real vacation." "You deserve it," she said, then hesitated. "Have you noticed anything odd lately? About the executives?" I looked up from my screen. "What do you mean?" "I tried to get into the 3rd-floor conference room to test the presentation setup, but security stopped me, said there was a confidential meeting in progress." "Probably just last-minute summit planning," I said, though I frowned. I should have been included in any meetings about the platform presentation. Samantha did not look convinced. I saw Catherine in there with Ryan and some people I did not recognize. Men in expensive suits, not our usual partners. A small alarm bell rang in my head, but I silenced it. I am sure Catherine would tell me if there was anything important happening. The next morning I arrived early as usual. A text notification lit up my phone as I entered the building. "Catherine, need to see all platform documentation. Investor meeting this afternoon. Can you gather everything?" It was an unusual request, but I complied without question. I spent 2 hours compiling comprehensive documentation including design specifications, technical architecture code repositories, and client testimonials from our beta testers. I had everything organized beautifully, ready to showcase our achievement. At 4:30, Catherine finally had time to meet. Her corner office had changed since the early days, now featuring minimalist furniture, abstract art, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. She sat behind a massive glass desk, phone to her ear as I entered. "Come in, Morgan," she said, gesturing to a chair while finishing her call. Something felt off about her tone. It was too casual, too forced. After hanging up, she smiled, that new smile that never reached her eyes. "Summit excitement getting to you. You look tired." "Just perfecting the presentation," I replied. "I want everything to be flawless." "Always the perfectionist," she said with a small laugh. "That is why this platform is going to change everything for us." We spent the next 30 minutes reviewing the documentation I had brought. Catherine asked unusually detailed questions about ownership of various components, development methodology, and whether any third-party contributions had been incorporated. At the time, I thought she was being thorough for the investors. I answered everything, completely proud, to showcase the clean, original work my team had created. "This is excellent, Morgan. Truly exceptional work," she said, gathering the documents. "I knew you were the right person for this project." As I stood to leave, Catherine added almost as an afterthought, "Let us have breakfast tomorrow before the summit kicks off, 7:30 at Westfield Hotel. We can do a final strategy alignment." "I will be there," I promised, feeling a surge of the old camaraderie. Maybe I had been overthinking the recent distance between us. That night I could barely sleep from excitement. After 3 years of work, tomorrow would be the culmination of everything my team and I had built. I finally drifted off around 2 in the morning, dreaming of standing on stage as our creation was revealed to the world. My alarm jarred me awake at 6. As I was dressing for breakfast with Catherine, my phone chimed with a text message. Catherine, have to cancel breakfast. Emergency board call. See you at Summit. Disappointed, but understanding, I took my time getting ready instead. The summit would begin at 9 with the main platform presentation scheduled for 11. I arrived at the venue at 8:15, wanting to check the technical setup personally. The hotel lobby was already crowded with Horizon employees and industry guests. As I made my way toward the conference center, I spotted Catherine in deep conversation with Ryan and 3 men in dark suits I did not recognize. They were huddled in a corner, speaking intensely. Catherine was nodding as one of the men gestured emphatically. Before I could approach them, Samantha appeared at my side with coffee. Thought you might need this, she said, following my gaze to the group. Her expression tightened. Those are the same men I saw yesterday. Probably potential investors, I said, though uncertainty crept into my voice. Morgan. Samantha hesitated. Something does not feel right. Ryan was in the server room yesterday with IT security. They were reviewing access logs and asking about your personal drives. A cold feeling settled in my stomach, but I pushed it aside. It is a big day. Everyone is just being thorough. Samantha looked unconvinced but nodded. I hope so. The team is all set up in the preparation room whenever you are ready. Thanks, I said, taking a sip of coffee. Let me just say good morning to Catherine first. But when I looked back to the corner, Catherine and the group had disappeared. I told myself it was nothing to worry about and headed to find my team. In just a few hours, we would present the culmination of 3 years of work, and nothing could dampen my excitement about that. I had no idea that I would never make it to that presentation. At precisely 9:45, 15 minutes before the team was scheduled for our final preparation meeting, my phone rang. It was Barbara from Human Resources. Morgan, could you come to the executive suite? Room 412, she said, her voice carefully neutral. Can it wait? We are about to do our final run-through for the presentation. I am afraid not. It is urgent. Something in her tone made my stomach drop. I will be right there. The executive suite was on the 4th floor of the hotel, away from the main conference activity. As the elevator ascended, my mind raced through possibilities. Perhaps there was a last-minute change to the presentation schedule, or a surprise announcement to be incorporated. When the doors opened, Barbara was waiting in the hallway. Her expression was professionally blank, but she could not quite meet my eyes. This way, she said, leading me to a conference room. Inside, Ryan Thompson sat at the head of the table, a folder in front of him. No Catherine, no other executives. Just Ryan and an empty chair across from him. Morgan, please sit down, he said without standing. I remained by the door. What is this about? I have a presentation to prepare for. Ryan smiled thinly. That will not be necessary anymore. He opened the folder and slid a document across the table. Horizon Solutions is terminating your employment effective immediately. The words did not register at first. I stared at the paper, unable to comprehend what was happening. This is a joke, right? I finally managed. I assure you it is not, Ryan replied, his voice cold. We have documented numerous performance issues over the past 6 months that necessitate this action. Performance issues? What are you talking about? I have led the development of our most significant product innovation in company history. Barbara interjected, her voice soft but firm. Morgan, please understand this decision comes from the highest level and is final. If you could please sign the termination acknowledgement. My hands were shaking. I need to speak with Catherine. Miss Bennett is preparing for her presentation and cannot be disturbed, Ryan said. Security will escort you to collect your personal belongings. Your access credentials have already been deactivated. As if on cue, 2 security guards appeared in the doorway. Men who had greeted me warmly every morning for years now stood stiffly, avoiding eye contact. This is insane, I said, my voice rising. You cannot fire me right before the platform launch. That platform is my creation. Ryan's expression hardened. The Authentic Integration Platform is Horizon intellectual property developed under company resources and direction. Your personal contribution, while appreciated, does not constitute ownership. The name hit me like a slap. Authentic Integration Platform. We never called it that. Ryan did not respond, simply gesturing to the security guards. Please escort Miss Davis to her office, and then out of the building. In a daze, I was led through the hotel past colleagues who quickly looked away when they saw the security escort. My mind was spinning, unable to process what was happening. As we crossed the main lobby, I saw Samantha standing by the coffee station. Her eyes widened in horror as she realized what was happening. I gave a small headshake when she started to approach, not wanting her to endanger her own position. At my office, I was given 15 minutes to collect personal items under supervision. Family photos, a few books the plant Jessica had given me for my birthday last year. My computer was already locked, a generic error message displaying when I tried to access it. "Your personal emails have been forwarded to your private account," one guard said quietly, showing a rare moment of humanity. "Company policy." I nodded numbly, too shocked to speak. As they escorted me to the exit, one final humiliation awaited. The main doors opened directly onto the arrival area, where a group of industry reporters were checking in for the summit. Several recognized me, eyebrows raising at the security escort and the small box of belongings in my arms. "Rideshare is on its way," the second guard said, pointing to the pickup area. "Your final compensation will be processed according to the termination agreement." And just like that, after 14 years, I was standing outside on the sidewalk, watching the glass doors close on what had been my professional home for my entire adult life. I sat on a nearby bench, still trying to comprehend what had happened. My phone buzzed with message notifications, mostly from team members who had witnessed or heard about my exit. I could not bring myself to read them yet. Instead, I did something that would prove crucial. I logged into my personal email from my phone. The company automatic forwarding system had indeed been activated, and dozens of work emails were flooding in. Most were irrelevant, but one caught my eye immediately. It had been sent yesterday from Catherine to Ryan, and several external addresses with me accidentally included on a hidden CC line. The subject line read, "API Acquisition Terms Final." With trembling fingers, I opened it. From Catherine.Bennett@horizonsolutions.com to Ryan.Thompson@horizonsolutions.com, M. Stanley@techcorp.com, B. Jensen@techcorp.com, CC, several board member emails, Morgan.Davis@horizonsolutions.com. Subject API, Acquisition Terms Final. All. We are pleased to confirm the terms for TechCorp's acquisition of the Authentic Integration Platform for $42 million, subject to successful demonstration at tomorrow's summit and final technical review. Ryan has prepared all necessary documentation to remove potential complications. Morgan Davis's employment will be terminated prior to the announcement to eliminate any ownership claims. Our legal team confirms all IP belongs to Horizon under the standard employment agreement. We anticipate closing within 10 days of demonstration. The platform will be presented as fully developed under Horizon executive leadership, with no mention of the previous development team. Catherine Bennett, CEO, Horizon Solutions. I read it 3 times each time, feeling like I had been punched in the stomach. They had not only fired me, but were planning to erase my entire contribution, selling my creation without a single acknowledgement of my work. The betrayal was so complete, so calculated I could barely breathe. A second email appeared, this one from Ryan to Catherine, sent just after my termination. From Ryan.Thompson@horizonsolutions.com to Catherine.Bennett@horizonsolutions.com. Subject MD termination complete. It's done. She was escorted out without incident, shocked but compliant. Security has confirmed her access is fully revoked. Team members are being informed it was a performance issue decided weeks ago. Technical team is standing by to handle the presentation. I've briefed them to emphasize executive direction and minimize developer contributions in the narrative. She was completely blindsided. These startups never protect their best ideas properly. Her naivety just made us $42 million. Ryan Thompson, COO, Horizon Solutions. The numbness gave way to a wave of nausea, followed by anger so intense my vision actually blurred. 14 years of loyalty, 3 years of my life poured into that platform. Countless nights and weekends sacrificed. All stolen in an instant by people I had trusted. I was still sitting there staring at my phone when my rideshare arrived. The driver had to call my name twice before I registered his presence. "Rough day," he asked, noting my expression as I climbed in with my sad box of office mementos. You could say that I managed before giving him my address. As we pulled away, a new determination crystallized through the shock and betrayal. I directed the driver to take me back to the hotel, not to make a scene or beg for my job back, but to see exactly what they were planning to do with my work. I paid the driver and made my way to a side entrance I knew from previous events. A kitchen staff member I had once helped with a computer problem nodded in recognition and held the door, no questions asked. Finding my way to the back of the main presentation hall, I slipped in just as the lights were dimming. Catherine was being introduced to enthusiastic applause. I needed to see this with my own eyes. The conference hall was packed with over 500 attendees, every seat filled with additional people standing along the walls. The stage was dramatically lit with blue and white lights, the massive Horizon logo projected on the screen behind the podium. I positioned myself in the shadows at the very back where security would not notice me. Catherine strode onto the stage with confident grace, dressed in a tailored navy suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary. The crowd applauded enthusiastically as she took her position at the center of the stage, smiling broadly. "Welcome to the 14th Annual Horizon Solutions Summit," she began, her amplified voice filling the room. "This year is particularly special, as we stand on the precipice of the most significant innovation in our company history." My hands clenched into fists at my sides. 14 years of summits. I had attended every single one, usually helping to organize them. Now I was an interloper in the shadows. For the past 18 months, Catherine continued, our executive team has been developing a revolutionary new efficiency initiative. 18 months. My team and I had been working on the platform for 3 years. She was already erasing 1.5 years of our work from history. Today I am thrilled to announce the Authentic Integration Platform, a proprietary system that will transform how businesses manage cross-system automation. The screen behind her changed to display the platform interface my team and I had designed, though with a new color scheme and logo I had never seen before. The basic framework was unmistakably our work, however, right down to the unique workflow visualization I had coded myself during a 72-hour coding marathon. "This platform represents Horizon's commitment to innovation," Catherine continued. "Under my direction, and with the brilliant execution of our executive technical team, we have created something that will revolutionize business automation across industries." Not a single mention of me or my team, not even a vague acknowledgement of the developers who had actually built every component of the system she was now showcasing. It was as if we had never existed. Catherine spent the next 20 minutes walking through key features of the platform, presenting them as if she intimately understood their function and purpose. Several times she used almost my exact explanations, phrases I had written in the documentation I had so willingly provided her just yesterday. "The most exciting news," she said, building to her conclusion, "is that this revolutionary platform has already attracted significant market attention. I am pleased to announce that TechCorp has presented an acquisition offer of $42 million for exclusive rights to the Authentic Integration Platform." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. On the front row, I could see the board members nodding and smiling. Several turned to shake hands with men in dark suits, the same ones I had seen Catherine meeting with earlier. "This represents the largest single product acquisition in Horizon's history," Catherine continued proudly. "A testament to our executive vision and technical excellence." My vision tunneled the edges, darkening as I struggled to breathe normally. 3 years of my life, thousands of hours of my team's dedication and creativity, all being credited to executive vision, while the architects of that success had been discarded and erased. I thought of Daniel, who had solved the core integration algorithm that made the entire platform possible, working 3 days straight, fueled by nothing but energy drinks and determination. I remembered Jessica, who had interviewed dozens of potential users to design an interface so intuitive that clients consistently described it as magical during beta testing. And Samantha, my rock, who had managed the development infrastructure and kept everything running smoothly, even when we faced seemingly impossible technical challenges. All of us erased, our contributions stolen. My chest felt physically tight, like someone was squeezing my ribcage. My hands trembled. In all my years at Horizon, through all the stress and challenges, I had never experienced this level of emotional devastation. It was not just anger or disappointment. It was complete betrayal by someone I had trusted and respected for 14 years. For a brief, wild moment, I considered walking up to that stage, grabbing the microphone, and telling everyone the truth. I imagined the shock on Catherine's face, the murmurs from the crowd, the uncomfortable shifting of the board members. But what would that accomplish? I would be labeled as a disgruntled ex-employee, possibly escorted out again, maybe even facing legal consequences. Catherine had clearly prepared for this moment, meticulously ensuring all company policies protected their theft of my work. Instead, I pulled out my phone and began documenting everything. I recorded portions of Catherine's presentation, took screenshots of the platform displays, noted the specific features she was claiming credit for. If there was to be any justice, I would need evidence. As Catherine concluded to enthusiastic applause, I sagged against the wall, emotionally drained. The technical team took the stage for the detailed demonstration, none of them meeting the audience's eyes. I recognized them as developers from another division, not my team members. They had been coached well, speaking confidently about systems they had had no part in creating. My phone vibrated in my hand, a text message from an unknown number. Unknown, I am William Frost, Tech Corp's primary investor. Got a minute? I stared at the screen in disbelief. How did he have my number? Why would he contact me? Was this some kind of trap? Before I could decide how to respond, a second message appeared. Unknown, I know what Catherine did. Meet me at the Westfield Hotel lobby in 30 minutes. My mind raced. This could be a setup, some attempt to further discredit me or force me to sign additional paperwork. But what did I have to lose at this point? I typed a reply with shaking fingers. Me. How do I know this is really from William Frost? The response came almost immediately, with an attached photo of a distinguished-looking older man in an expensive suit, sitting in what appeared to be the Westfield Hotel lobby, holding up a handwritten sign with my name. Unknown. Is this proof enough I want to talk about your platform? The one Catherine is currently taking credit for. I took a deep breath. This was either the worst idea ever, or the first glimmer of hope in a day filled with betrayal. Me, I'll be there in 30 minutes. As I slipped out of the conference hall, Catherine was taking questions from the audience, beaming with pride over her stolen achievement. On stage, she looked invincible. But something told me her victory might be more fragile than she realized. I had nothing left to lose, and potentially everything to gain. The Westfield Hotel was only 3 blocks from the summit venue. I walked quickly, my mind spinning with possibilities and doubts. Was I walking into another trap? Why would TechCorp's investor want to meet with me? What could possibly come from this that would help my situation? The hotel lobby was elegant and quiet, with plush seating areas arranged around a central fireplace. I spotted him immediately, the same distinguished older man from the photo. William Frost appeared to be in his mid-60s, with silver hair and sharp blue eyes that assessed me as I approached. He wore a tailored charcoal suit that exuded quiet wealth, not flashy, but unmistakably expensive. Morgan Davis, he said, standing to greet me, his handshake firm. Thank you for coming. Please sit down. I took the offered seat across from him, perched nervously on the edge. How did you get my number? And why contact me now? William smiled slightly. Direct. I appreciate that. He reached for his leather portfolio and withdrew a business card, sliding it across the small table between us. To answer your first question, I have resources. To address the second, I believe we may be able to help each other. The card confirmed his identity, William Frost, managing partner, Frost Ventures, with the TechCorp logo in the corner, marking him as a major investor. I know you built that platform, he continued, his voice matter of fact. Not Catherine Bennett, not the Horizon executive team. You and your development group. I swallowed hard. How could you possibly know that? Due diligence, he replied simply. TechCorp has been tracking Horizon Solutions for a potential acquisition for nearly a year. My team conducts thorough background research before any major investment. He opened his portfolio again and removed a thin folder. We monitor patent applications, technical conference presentations, code repository, contributions, even social media activity related to significant projects. He spread several documents on the table. I recognized my own work immediately, presentation slides from a developer conference where I had discussed early concepts for the platform, GitHub contribution graphs showing my activity patterns, internal Horizon technical bulletins where I was credited as project lead. Catherine may control the official narrative within Horizon, William said, but she cannot erase the digital footprints of actual creation. My technical analysts identified you as the primary architect months ago. I stared at him, a glimmer of hope forming. Then why are you proceeding with the acquisition, if you know they stole my work? William leaned back in his chair. I am not proceeding with anything. Catherine believes she has a deal, but no contracts have been signed. That presentation today was premature and unauthorized from our perspective. He studied me carefully. I invest in innovation and talent. Miss Davis, not corporate theft. When my team flagged the suspicious timing of your termination this morning, I wanted to hear your side directly. They fired me to cut me out completely. I said, the words still bitter in my mouth. 14 years with the company, and they escorted me out with security like a criminal. And the platform is undeniably your creation. My team and I built every aspect of it over 3 years. I have the original concept, documents, development logs, even personal notes from working weekends and nights. I hesitated, but everything is on my company laptop, which they have now. William nodded thoughtfully. Not everything, I suspect. Few developers I know keep all their work solely on company machines. He was right. I maintained backups and working copies on my personal systems, plus cloud repositories under my personal accounts where I tested code before committing to the company repositories. I may have copies of certain components, I admitted cautiously. Good, William said. And your core team members, the ones who helped build this, would they corroborate your role? Absolutely, I said, without hesitation. Samantha, Daniel, and Jessica know exactly who created what. They lived this project alongside me for 3 years. William checked his watch. The summit concludes at 5 today. Can you assemble your team and whatever documentation you have by 7 this evening? I have a suite here where we can speak privately. You still have not said what you want from me, I pointed out. For the first time, William truly smiled. Isn't it obvious, Miss Davis? I want the real creator of the authentic integration platform, not a corporate figurehead taking credit for others' innovation. TechCorp's interest was in the technology and the minds behind it. If Catherine is not part of that equation, our deal with Horizon becomes significantly less attractive. Hope and a new determination surged through me. I can have my team here at 7. Excellent, William said, standing and extending his hand again. One more thing. I have taken the liberty of arranging a meeting with Elaine Patterson tomorrow morning. She is the top intellectual property attorney in the tech sector. I blinked in surprise. That is generous, but I cannot afford someone of her caliber. Consider it an investment in our potential future partnership, William replied smoothly. 7 o'clock, Suite 812. As I left the hotel, my phone was already buzzing with messages from my team members. I quickly texted Samantha, Daniel, and Jessica to meet me at my apartment in 1 hour. For the first time, since seeing that termination paper, I felt something other than devastation. This was not over yet. By 6:30 that evening, my living room had transformed into command central. Samantha had been the first to arrive, hugging me tightly before immediately setting up her laptop on my dining table. They cannot get away with this, she said fiercely, her loyalty unwavering. I saved every project document to my personal drive. I knew something was off. Daniel arrived next, carrying 2 external hard drives. Backup of the entire codebase with commit history, he explained. I mirrored the repositories months ago when Ryan started asking strange questions about our architecture. Jessica was last, bringing not only her complete UX design archives but also pizza and wine. If we are going to fight corporate theft, we need sustenance, she declared. For the next hour, we compiled everything we had: original concept documents with my notes and signatures, development logs showing the evolution of every component, email threads discussing key features, photos from team celebration milestones, even the whiteboard diagrams from our initial brainstorming sessions that Jessica had photographed. Most crucially, we had the original GitHub commit history showing exactly who had contributed what code and when, proving beyond doubt that my team and I were the true creators of every aspect of the platform. At precisely 7, the 4 of us entered the Westfield Hotel and took the elevator to the 8th floor. William answered the door to Suite 812, himself now joined by a younger man he introduced as Mike Preston, TechCorp's technical director. For the next 3 hours, we presented our evidence methodically. Mike asked pointed technical questions that only the true developers could answer, which we did with ease. William took notes and occasionally made phone calls, stepping onto the suite's balcony for privacy. This is compelling, William said finally, after we had walked through the entire development timeline. More than enough to establish your claim as the rightful creators. But will it be enough legally, I asked. Horizon will argue everything belongs to them under standard employment contracts. William exchanged glances with Mike. That brings us to an interesting discovery. Mike, would you explain? Mike opened his laptop. When we began due diligence on Horizon, we reviewed all their standard contracts. Most employees do indeed sign agreements assigning all intellectual property to the company without exception. He pulled up a document and turned the screen toward me. But your contract, Miss Davis, contains a unique clause. Page 4, Section 8, Paragraph 3. I leaned forward, reading the highlighted text from my employment agreement signed 14 years ago. Employee retains rights to any original technical innovation conceived primarily by employee, where such innovation represents a significant departure from company's existing technology portfolio, subject to company's right of Section 12. First refusal for licensing or acquisition. I stared at the words in disbelief. I do not remember this clause. Why would Horizon include this exception? William chuckled softly. Because 14 years ago, Horizon was a struggling startup that needed to attract top talent without competitive salaries. These carve-outs were common, then offering potential intellectual property rights as compensation. Most companies remove them as they grow, updating contracts during promotions or reorganizations. But I never signed a new employment agreement, I realized, even through all my promotions. An oversight that works in your favor, William confirmed. Based on this clause and the evidence you have presented, I believe you have grounds for an emergency injunction against Horizon's sale of the platform. An injunction? Samantha asked. A court order preventing them from selling or transferring the technology until ownership is legally determined, William explained. And that is where Elaine Patterson comes in tomorrow morning. For the first time since being escorted from the building that morning, I felt a genuine smile form. Catherine and Ryan had been so focused on erasing my contribution, they had overlooked the actual legal foundation of their scheme. What happens next? I asked. William closed his portfolio decisively. Tomorrow we fight back. Elaine Patterson did not look like my mental image of a top intellectual property attorney. I had expected someone stern and intimidating, but the woman who greeted us in the conference room of her downtown law office was barely 5 feet tall, with a warm smile and a colorful scarf draped over her simple black suit. Her handshake, however, was firm and confident. Morgan Davis, she said, assessing me with shrewd brown eyes. William has briefed me on your situation. An audacious theft even by Silicon Valley standards. It was 8:30 the next morning. William had arranged for my team and me to meet with Elaine before the markets opened. Time was critical. According to sources within Horizon, Catherine was pushing to finalize the acquisition agreement by end of week. Can you stop them? I asked directly. Elaine gestured for us to sit at the conference table where breakfast had been arranged. Based on what William shared and the documentation you provided overnight, I believe we have grounds for an emergency injunction. She opened a leather portfolio similar to William's, removing several printed documents. Your original contract contains what we call an innovation carve-out clause. Quite common in early-stage startups, though most companies phase them out as they mature. So I actually own the platform? I asked, hope rising. Elaine held up a cautionary hand. Intellectual property is rarely that straightforward. You have a strong claim to the core innovation, but Horizon provided resources, infrastructure, and compensation during development. This creates a complex ownership situation. She spread the documents on the table. However, their actions, particularly the timing of your termination and the deliberate misrepresentation of creation, significantly strengthen our position. William, who had been quietly listening, leaned forward. Timeline is critical here. How quickly can we file? I had my team preparing the paperwork since midnight, Elaine replied. We can file for an emergency hearing this morning. Judge Carolyn Martinez is presiding over the emergency docket today, which works in our favor. She has a strong record on intellectual property rights. Within 2 hours, we were seated in a courtroom downtown. Elaine had worked miracles securing an emergency hearing based on the imminent nature of the potential sale. William sat beside me in the gallery while my team waited outside as potential witnesses. The courtroom doors burst open 10 minutes after we arrived. Catherine strode in with Ryan and 3 attorneys I recognized as Horizon's legal team. Her face registered shock when she saw me, quickly masked by cool composure. Ryan looked less controlled, his face flushing with anger. All rise, the bailiff announced as Judge Martinez entered. A woman in her 60s with silver hair and penetrating eyes, she wasted no time on preliminaries. I have reviewed the emergency filing, she stated after the initial procedures. Miss Patterson, please summarize your client's position. Elaine rose smoothly. Your Honor, my client Morgan Davis is the original creator of the software platform currently known as the Authentic Integration Platform. She developed this technology over 3 years as an employee of Horizon Solutions under a contract that specifically preserved her rights to original technical innovations. She presented my original contract, highlighting the carve-out clause. Yesterday, without warning, Horizon terminated Miss Davis's employment specifically to exclude her from a $42 million sale of her innovation to TechCorp. We are seeking an emergency injunction to halt this transaction until ownership can be properly determined. Horizon's lead attorney Michael Sullivan rose next. Your Honor, this is a straightforward employment matter. Miss Davis was terminated for performance issues entirely unrelated to this transaction. The platform in question was developed using company resources on company time under company direction. It belongs entirely to Horizon Solutions under standard work for hire provisions. Judge Martinez studied both attorneys. Miss Patterson, do you have evidence supporting the connection between the termination and the planned sale? Elaine nodded, presenting the email that had been accidentally forwarded to my personal account. The judge read it silently, her expression unchanging. Mr. Sullivan, how do you explain this email explicitly connecting Miss Davis's termination to eliminating potential ownership claims? Sullivan conferred hurriedly with Catherine, who was whispering furiously to him. Your Honor, that email represents an unfortunate choice of words during internal discussions. The company maintains that the termination was performance-related. And the timing, Judge Martinez asked. Termination hours before announcing a $42 million sale of technology, Miss Davis claims to have created. Coincidental, Sullivan insisted, though his confidence seemed to waver. The judge turned her attention to the contract. This clause is unusual but clear. It grants Miss Davis rights to original technical innovations that represent significant departures from existing company technology. Mr. Sullivan, does Horizon dispute that this platform constitutes such an innovation? More urgent whispering between the Horizon team. No, Your Honor. The company has publicly stated this represents a revolutionary new direction. And was this innovation conceived primarily by Miss Davis? Elaine intervened. We have extensive documentation proving Miss Davis's role as primary creator, including development logs, original concept documents, and witness statements from team members. Judge Martinez considered this information for several moments. I find sufficient cause for concern regarding the hasty sale of disputed intellectual property. I am granting a temporary injunction prohibiting Horizon Solutions from selling, transferring, or otherwise disposing of the platform technology for 14 days, during which time a full hearing will be scheduled. She struck her gavel decisively. The court further orders that all documentation related to the platform's development be preserved without alteration. We are adjourned. Catherine's face had gone completely white. As we filed out of the courtroom, I heard her hissing at Ryan, "Fix this now." In the hallway, William shook Elaine's hand. Excellent work. Phase 1 complete. Phase 1, I asked. The injunction buys us time, William explained, but it is just the beginning. Now we leverage our position. Over lunch at a nearby restaurant, William outlined the next steps. TechCorp will officially withdraw its acquisition offer, citing intellectual property concerns. You can do that, Samantha asked. The deal was never finalized, William reminded us. Catherine jumped the gun by announcing it publicly. And yes, as primary investor, I have significant influence over acquisition decisions. What will that accomplish? I asked. William smiled. Horizon's stock price has already jumped 8% on news of the acquisition. When TechCorp withdraws, citing ownership disputes, the market will react negatively. The board will demand answers. His prediction proved accurate with stunning speed. By 3 that afternoon, TechCorp issued a press release. TechCorp has elected to withdraw its offer for Horizon Solutions integration platform technology, pending resolution of intellectual property ownership concerns. We remain committed to acquiring only technologies with clear and undisputed ownership provenance. Horizon's stock immediately dropped 12%. Financial news sites began running stories questioning the company's disclosure practices and governance. By 4:30, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. Morgan Davis. This is Gerald Hamilton, chairman of the board at Horizon Solutions. I believe we need to talk. William had anticipated this as well. The board will want to contain the damage. Request a formal meeting with full board presence, not just Catherine and her allies. The meeting was scheduled for 9 the next morning at Horizon headquarters. William arranged for Elaine to accompany me along with himself as a financial advisor. The night before, I barely slept rehearsing what I would say to people who had allowed, perhaps even encouraged, the theft of my work. The Horizon boardroom felt both familiar and alien as I entered. I had presented in this room countless times, but never, with the entire board assembled, never as an adversary, rather than a valued employee. Catherine sat at the head of the table, her usual confidence visibly diminished. Ryan sat beside her, aggressively checking his phone, avoiding eye contact. 8 board members completed the assembly, their expressions ranging from concern to outright anger. Gerald Hamilton, a silver-haired man in his 60s, who had served as board chairman for 5 years, opened the proceedings. Miss Davis, thank you for agreeing to meet. Yesterday's events have created a significant situation for Horizon that we wish to resolve expeditiously. You mean the theft of my intellectual property, the false claims of creation by executives, or my wrongful termination? I asked calmly. Catherine interjected. These accusations are completely unfounded. The platform was developed under company direction with company resources. Gerald raised a hand to silence her. Catherine, please. We have reviewed the emails submitted to the court. The board has concerns about the sequence of events. Ryan finally looked up from his phone. This is a simple misunderstanding that has been blown out of proportion. Morgan was terminated for ongoing performance issues. Interesting, Elaine commented. We have copies of Miss Davis's performance reviews for the past 5 years, all exceptional with maximum bonus allocations. I placed a folder on the table. I have brought complete documentation of the platform's development, including original concept presentations that predated any executive involvement, development timelines, and testimony from my team members who built every component. Catherine's composure finally cracked. This is absurd. You were an employee doing your job. The company owns everything you produced. Not according to my contract, I replied, sliding a copy across the table. Section 8, paragraph 3 specifically reserves my rights to original technical innovations. Gerald and several board members leaned forward to review the document. The room fell silent as they read. This clause is unusual, Gerald finally said. But valid, Elaine added, and clearly applicable to the platform which Horizon itself has repeatedly described as a revolutionary innovation and completely new direction for the company. William, who had been observing silently, finally spoke. Gentlemen, Ladies Tech Corp remains interested in this technology. However, we will only proceed with a transaction that properly recognizes and compensates the actual creator. Catherine's eyes widened as she realized William's role. You were negotiating with her while still in discussions with us. That is a breach of our confidentiality agreement. William smiled thinly. Our agreement covered the potential acquisition, not discussions with the actual inventor of the technology in question. No breach has occurred. The board members exchanged glances. Gerald cleared his throat. Perhaps we should discuss this privately with our legal counsel. Before you do, I said, I want to be clear about what I am seeking. I want full recognition as the platform's primary creator, appropriate compensation for my work, and a public correction of the false statements made at the summit. 3 hours later, after intense negotiations, we emerged with an agreement. Catherine and Ryan were nowhere to be seen, having been asked to leave the discussions by the board. Gerald approached me as we prepared to depart. The board has voted to place Catherine and Ryan on administrative leave pending a full investigation. This situation should never have occurred. I nodded, not trusting myself to respond graciously yet. For what it is worth, he added quietly. Many of us had no idea what was happening. The platform was always presented to us as an executive initiative. As we left the building, William turned to me. Phase 2 complete. Are you ready for Phase 3? I looked at him questioningly. Building something even better, he said, with a smile. 2 weeks after the board meeting, the official press release went out. Horizon Solutions announces the departure of CEO Catherine Bennett and COO Ryan Thompson. The company acknowledges errors in the attribution of its integration platform technology and recognizes Morgan Davis as the primary creator and architect. A settlement has been reached granting Ms. Davis ownership rights to the platform technology, along with compensation for her contributions. What the release did not mention was the amount $12 million, nearly 30% of the original acquisition price. The board had recognized that fighting a protracted legal battle would only damage the company further, especially with the evidence we had compiled. I sat in William's office, reading the release on my tablet. It still feels surreal, I admitted. William nodded. Justice in corporate America often does. The question now is, what will you do with your platform and your settlement? It was the question I had been considering day and night. TechCorp's original interest remained, with William offering $40 million for the technology now that ownership was clearly established. It would be easy to sell, take the money, and perhaps take that long vacation I had joked about. But that option felt hollow somehow. This platform had been my passion for 3 years, and I still believed in its potential beyond what either Horizon or TechCorp envisioned. I am not selling, I said finally. At least not completely. William smiled as if he had expected this answer. You want to build your own company around it? Yes. With my team, the people who actually created it alongside me. We understand this technology better than anyone, and we have ideas for applications that no one has even considered yet. Ambitious, William commented. And expensive. Even with your settlement, launching a tech company from scratch requires significant capital. I met his gaze directly. Which is why I am proposing a partnership. My team and I retain majority ownership and control of the technology. You provide initial investment and your considerable business expertise. William leaned back in his chair, considering. A founder-led startup with revolutionary technology and a proven team. It has potential. 3 days later, Authentic Innovations was born with $5 million in seed funding from Frost Ventures. We leased a small office space downtown, ironically just 2 blocks from Horizon headquarters. Samantha, Daniel, and Jessica joined immediately, each receiving founding equity stakes. Within weeks, we had hired 10 more developers, most from my former division at Horizon, who had witnessed the summit debacle and reached out afterward. The platform evolved rapidly once freed from corporate constraints. We expanded its capabilities beyond what had been possible within Horizon's narrow vision, developing applications for healthcare, finance, and educational sectors that had never been considered before. 6 months after our founding, our user base had grown to over 1,000 businesses. William's guidance proved invaluable for navigating the challenges of rapid growth. His connections opened doors that would have remained closed to a typical startup, and his business acumen helped us avoid common pitfalls. We have received another acquisition offer, William informed me during our weekly strategy meeting now, in our expanded offices with 30 employees, $65 million from System Global. I shook my head. Still not interested in selling. William smiled. I told them as much, just keeping you informed. Our first year in business culminated in winning the National Innovation Award presented at the annual Tech Visionaries Conference in San Francisco. The irony was not lost on me when I took the stage to accept the award exactly 1 year after being fired and erased from my own creation. As I scanned the audience during my acceptance speech, a familiar face caught my attention. Catherine Bennett sat in the middle rows, not as a presenter or honoree, but as an attendee. Our eyes met briefly before she looked away. Later during the reception, she approached me at the bar. She looked different, her designer suit replaced by more modest attire, her confident posture somewhat diminished. Congratulations on the award, she said stiffly. Your company has been impressive. Thank you, I replied neutrally. Are you still in the industry? A flash of something, perhaps shame, crossed her face. Consulting, smaller companies, nothing like Horizon. I learned later that after her dismissal from Horizon, Catherine had struggled to find another executive position. The story of what had happened with the platform had circulated widely in industry circles, damaging her reputation beyond easy repair. Ryan had fared somewhat better, landing a position at a smaller firm, though at a significantly reduced level from his COO role. I underestimated you, Catherine, said, swirling her drink. I never thought you would fight back so effectively. You underestimated my connection to what I created. I corrected her. And the importance of integrity. She laughed bitterly. Integrity does not build billion-dollar companies. I looked around at the reception where my team was celebrating our success, then back at her isolated figure. Actually, I am finding that it does. I walked away, leaving her alone at the bar. There was no satisfaction in seeing her diminished, only a sense of appropriateness. Our choices had led us to our respective destinations. Back at my table, Samantha raised her glass. to showing them all what we can really do. I smiled, clinking my glass against hers, to building something that matters the right way. As our second year of operations began, Authentic Innovations continued its rapid growth. We expanded internationally, opening offices in London and Singapore. Our platform evolved beyond my original vision, incorporating artificial intelligence components that Daniel had advocated for from the beginning, but Horizon had deemed too ambitious. The lessons from my experience had shaped our company culture profoundly. Every employee received equity, ensuring they benefited directly from the success they helped create. We implemented transparent attribution systems, so every contribution was recognized. And most importantly, our contracts explicitly protected individual innovation rights even as we grew. "You have built something remarkable here," William commented, during the opening of our new headquarters, a renovated industrial space with room for our now 120 employees. "Not just the technology, but the culture." "I had a powerful lesson in what not to do," I replied. "Sometimes you learn more from betrayal than loyalty." That lesson had transformed my approach to business and life. The shock and pain of Catherine's betrayal had eventually given way to something unexpected: gratitude for the forced change in direction. Had I remained at Horizon, the platform would never have reached its current potential. My team would never have had the ownership and recognition they deserved. And I would never have discovered my abilities as a founder and leader. The truest victory was not the settlement, the successful company, or even the vindication of my creation. It was the discovery that betrayal could be transformed into opportunity, that endings could become more powerful beginnings. As I look back on this journey now, 3 years after that devastating day at the summit, I realize the most valuable asset I gained was not financial success or professional recognition, but a deeper understanding of my own resilience and capabilities. The platform that was stolen from me became the foundation for something far greater than it ever could have been within Horizon's walls. So, if you are facing betrayal in your professional life, remember my story. Document everything. Know your rights. Build allies who recognize your true value. And most importantly, understand that sometimes the worst day of your career can ultimately lead to your greatest triumph if you have the courage to fight for what you created. Have you ever experienced betrayal in your workplace? How did you handle it? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe to hear more career journey experiences, and share this video with someone who might need encouragement during a professional setback. Remember, your greatest achievements might be waiting just on the other side of your biggest disappointment. Thank you for watching, and I wish you strength and integrity on your own career path.